Hello, I'm Ari, and in today's tutorial, we'll be building this joke generator using React. We'll leverage the power of APIs along with React hooks like useEffect and useState, as well as the Axios library for making HTTP requests. We'll also explore the async await syntax for handling asynchronous operations. So let's dive right in. To get started, all I've done is created a new React application by typing in npx create React app in my terminal. Then I've gone ahead and deleted any files we don't need. And right now I just have this rendering jokes app in the browser. Next, we're going to install Axios, which is a popular JavaScript library used for making HTTP requests. Then we can go ahead and import Axios into our app. Next, inside of our return, let's create a div and give it a class name of app. For this project, we're going to be displaying a joke that we get back from a joke API. So let's initialize a piece of state to store our joke. We can do this using the useState hook. We can leave the default value empty since we don't currently have any jokes. For our jokes API, we're going to navigate to v2.joke.dev, which I'll link in the comments. Once we're here, if we scroll down, we can change the settings to filter for the kind of jokes we'd like. I'm just going to choose programming and single part. Then we can just copy the URL below, and that's going to be where we make our request to. Okay, so let's paste this URL in the browser and we can see what our request object looks like. Cool, so there we have our request object, and in it we can see our joke. Back in our editor, we can work on using Axios to make a call to our jokes API. Let's start by initializing a function that we're going to call getJokes. Since Axios returns a promise, we'll need to make this function asynchronous. We then need to add the await keyword, since we need to pause our execution and wait for our Axios request to return. We can then make our GET request to our URL, which we can do by writing axios.get and then adding in our joke URL. Let's then store this response that we get back from our Axios request in a variable. Okay, let's make sure everything works correctly. Let's add a console log and try printing out our response. And before we check the console, we should probably call our function. Perfect! And then in the browser, we can go ahead and inspect the page and check out our console. And let's take a look at this object. Alright, so in our object, we're getting back this data property, which contains another object that has our joke in it. So if we just key into response.data, we'll be able to just see our joke object. Inside of that, it looks like our joke property is storing our actual joke string. So if we then key into that, we should just be getting back our joke. And there it is. Alright, so now instead of console logging it, let's use our joke setter function to set this value we're getting back to our joke piece of state. And instead of rendering nothing, we can now render our joke variable. Okay, so we saw that our request works in the console, so why are we getting this huge error? This is because currently Axios has encountered a too many request response from the server. To fix this, we can use the useEffect hook to control the timing and frequency of making requests and get rid of this error. The useEffect hook allows us to perform side effects in our React components, and in this case, fetch the joke data without overwhelming the server. For this use, we can add an empty dependency array to say we only want this useEffect to run on page load. Then inside of it, we can go ahead and call our getJoke function. Alright, and our error is gone and our jokes are loading. So in the app we want to build, there's actually a button the user can click to generate a new joke. So let's go ahead and add a button element to our code, and we can give it the text new joke. Then we can just give our button an onClick event, which calls our getJoke function. Alright, let's test this out and make sure everything is working as expected. And awesome, our button generates a new joke. It looks like the only thing left to do is make it pretty. Let's start by giving the text its own div. We can then go ahead and give this a class name of joke container. Then at the top, we can import our app.css file into our main app.js file. Alright, let's head over to our CSS file and start working on our app class. Let's start by adding the display class flex. And then we can set the flex direction to column. Let's center everything by doing align items a center. And let's give this a min height of 100 VH. Let's set the font family to Arial. And I'm going to choose a light pink background color, but you can use any background color that you like. Alright, let's start working on our joke container div. To start, let's just give this a width of 80% so it's not taking up the maximum width of the screen. Again, I'm going to use another light pink background color, but you can use any color that you like. And let's give this some padding so this text has some room to breathe. And we can give this a border radius of 8 pixels. We can go ahead and give it a nice little box shadow. And whoops, that's supposed to say shadow, not sizing. And then this new joke button is looking a little close, so let's give this a bottom margin. Okay, getting there. Let's add a quick color to this text. Alright, looks good, but the text is looking a little big. Let's go ahead and adjust our font size for that H1. And we can get rid of any margin as well. Okay, moving on, we still have our button left, so let's go ahead and style that. We can start by giving this a color that goes along with whatever theme we've chosen, and I'm just going to give mine another pink. I'm going to make the text color white. I'm going to remove the border from this button, and I'm noticing our jokes container looks a little weird pressed against the top, so let's go back to our app and move that to the center. Perfect, back in our button we can add cursor pointer, size 16 pixels, font weight bold, and then let's change the text to be all uppercase. We're going to give the letters a little space, and then let's just give this button some padding all around. Let's say 10 pixels top and bottom, and 20 pixels left and right. And then just so there's some symmetry between the joke container and the button, let's give this a border radius. And we can make this like 5 pixels. Alright, last but not least, let's add a hover state to our button. And we're just going to give this a background color, and I'm just going to do a darker shade of pink than I have here. And I think we're done. Here's our complete random joke generator app. If you had fun building this, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more fun React mini projects. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching!